Hello, are you out there? It's Mark with HFD, and I'm back with the Half-Orc Knight and the 5 delayed retirements. Hopefully, we'll get through all 5 of them. This is an extremely long story coming from Adventurous Pirate, who gave me the okay to read their story. Hello again, y'all. Reposting here an old story that I believe will be at least enjoyable enough to read along with and commiserate. Or you can give me a fresher perspective now on the TBD adventures. Was I looking at it all wrong? Let me know. After a terrible experience in a previous game with my then main group, with one or of the players DMing for the first time, I had resigned myself to returning to being a full-time, forever DM. Yeah, it's got to be tough when you just want to be a player, but all you can do is be the DM. That's got to be really hard. But then you just got to find someone else who's like, I'll DM, and then you'll never go back. I'll be honest with you. It's really hard to go back to DMing once you're a player. Around this time, my brother reached out to me, wanting to play a game together with a DM that we had played under before. If there are D&D player tropes, there have to be DM tropes. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, there are DM tropes. Okay, that's not what we're talking about here, though. You got me thinking about DM tropes. I'm like, I got to make a video about DM tropes. Why the hell aren't we talking about DM tropes? This DM, while nice enough and very creative, was a self-superior, lure-toting, always better than you storyteller who thought just because he had a beard that he qualified as both the greatest Viking ever and the greatest dwarf ever. Are you talking about me right now? Because I would make an excellent dwarf. I am just saying. I really love dwarves. He had great games when we played in them, but favored using overpowered GMPCs. Ugh, that's not good. Worlds that you were a spectator in, not a driving force, and if you had a unique character trait, well, every NPC following you had it or was better. Make a tall warrior. Every warrior you meet from now on is taller than you, etc. Oh, you can see in the dark? Oh, no. This guy can see into the ethereal plane. Ooh, got you there. I still agree to play since I do miss gaming with my brother. He's an extrovert who craves social interaction, and we used to be super close as kids. I'm an introvert and a writer, happy enough to spend time at home with my wife, my kids, and our then still ongoing D&D group. My brother tells me that we would be playing a Pathfinder module where we had to revolutionize. Sorry, did I read that right? Revolutionize a corrupt empire and install a rightful queen onto the throne. Is that the word, revolution? Revolt against a corrupt empire? Okay. I'm over. That wasn't the word I was expecting there. There would be a massive quest, political intrigue, and characters of all walks of life were welcome. I immediately thought of a redeeming story for my favorite and longest running PC, Alder the Half-Orc Knight, who fights against racial inequality for all demi-humans. Ooh, okay, I like that. It's almost like Paladin-esque. In the group we have me, a martial master fighter, the Alder the Half-Orc Knight, I assume. Bro, a Magnus with an intelligent whip sword. Oh, nice. DM wife. His constantly doted on, always badass, always catering to, significant other playing a cleric rogue. She was never overtly mean or unpleasant, but what was already a bad problem with the favoritism was made much worse later in another campaign she later ran. I'll save that one for another time. Be happy to hear it. It's always tricky having real life relationships come to the table. Playing with your partner is fine, and I would never discourage real life partners playing together, but your real life relationship mechanics don't belong at the table. That's what other people don't like, right? Just like, and if we all intellectually know that, I'm just saying for anyone who's watching who's like, I do play with my significant other, or I would like my partner to game with me. Why can't I do that? It's like, no, you can do that. Just your IRL stuff doesn't belong at the table. Doesn't come out at the table. It shouldn't come out in your role play because that's what no one else wants to deal with. Let the fantasy of the world happen, but don't let the real world of your real world happen in other people's fantasy world. I think that's I think that's pretty solid advice. DM, the main problem in the story, and who broke my love of Pathfinder almost I don't know how to ir- ir- irrevocably. I can't say it. I can't say it. Holy shit. Okay. No, DMPC this time. Thank the gods. Okay. I can't. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to stop trying to say that word now. We start off coming to the city and later going to this fancy party. Right before we had to decide how we got to the city, allowed to narrate or role play out small interactions. Alder quickly made friends with a half elf cabbie named Francis, who we find out has ties to the leader of a thieves guild, aka his sister. This would come up later. Francis was dead fast loyal to me for just funding the money to purchase his cart for him, like 20 gold, and kind of a softie. I liked him a lot. Yeah, you like freaking bankrolled his taxi business? That's cool. That's a good way to make friends. Just go around buying people like chickens and carts and stuff. You'll make a lot of friends in the fantasy world. At the party, it's pretty standard. Drink, look at important NPCs, not allowed to bring more than ceremonial weapons and armor, etc. Then things got abruptly tense when we find out there is this guy who is supposed to be killed because he's popular with other nobles and might be a shoo-in for the next monarch after the mad king is disposed, removed, etc. Feels very GOT, Game of Thrones. Ooh, I got that acronym. This is good for me. Yeah, I can't say all words properly, but I can get that acronym. Very nice. We keep the guy alive only for the opening cutscene slash cinematic of the intro party to being the king himself stabbing the guy. So good effort on our part. Ooh, yeah. Keep in mind, almost every excuse the DM used was that it was the module, not his own style. But his style was very telltale. What I didn't need to, this all caps, was very telltale feel to it, so you would know it was a lie. He then hurls a fireball into the crowd and the party goers and us. Cue us as we, cue, that's a heck of a word. Cue us as we're suddenly teleported to an underground puzzle maze. Enemies in the walls like a monster out of Yu-Gi-Oh! Giant, almost invincible constructs at level 1. Well, I would only say like when it's like an intro story, like your party is wakes up in a prison or is transported to the dungeon. Oftentimes, did I say oftentimes? I definitely can see where like the power dynamic isn't right because you're being propelled into the adventure. So I've had other DMs do that to me as well, where it's just like, oh yeah, you're in the super intense situation. No, you cannot fix it or resolve it, but it's gonna pop you into to jumpstart the adventure. So I don't I think it's a little tropey way to start an adventure, but I don't think it's uncommon for level ones to be way in over their head to kick off an adventure. It's just trying to defend your DM a little bit. It was hard not to feel immersed and heavily challenged, which is fun for me when it's for narrative purposes, with chances for survival based on luck, in intellect, skill, and teamwork. What are you guys going to TPK here? This is session 1, TPK. We would go on to find a room of weapons and gear ourselves up. Everyone gets something kind of cool. I'm able to find a mithril halberd and a Smilodon idol that can be used to summon a large saber tooth. Oh yeah, is that how you say it? Smi- Smilodon idol, like it's saber tooth tiger. I did not know that. Oh, that's cool. Summon a large saber tooth tiger styled after Gwen from Dritz Duerden, essentially an immortal animal companion who never has to risk being permakilled. Yeah, that's actually a really good way to do it. It's always so tricky when like rangers have their pets, and it's just like you don't want to kill like the little fox companion because everyone loves it, but that's a good solution when it comes out of an idol. You like rub the idol, and you're just summoning the spirit of the animal. So I would highly recommend to any DM they set up animal companions in that way, and I'd recommend to players that your animal companions are not actual in-game living animals, because the odds are they're going to die very early, and then everyone's going to be sad. So spirit animal totem summoning, that's the right way for a DM to do it. So I'm just saying, again, the DM had a pretty good method there for that. They're thinking ahead. The downside, it's hostile to anyone who hasn't bonded with it for a month. Sure, that's fair, I suppose. You mean you got to bond with it for a full month before it won't be hostile anymore? That's good. I don't know what the point of that would be unless they're giving it to you, but they don't want you to use it yet in the adventure. It's kind of weird. Okay. I still have a giant furry murder pet that I would hopefully get to make into Alder's insignia / bonded companion, etc. I loved it. Even / especially if I had roleplay a month of in-game time summoning to try and bond without getting my head bitten off. So that is exactly what the DM is doing. They're setting you up with something you're going to work towards, and eventually it'll pay off, but immediately it's useless in this like little level 1 dungeon where you're going to TPK apparently. One dungeon and one floating rat king on a magical sphere at the risk of being drowned as water rose higher and higher around us. Later, and we get to explore the capital a bit more, which is an anarchy. The king has been assassinated. There is a plot for the throne, and everyone is perpetuating more Game of Thrones cliches. Which is, I'm just going to be fair though, is it Game of Thrones cliches, or is all the drama and royalty shenanigans in Game of Thrones a cliche of actual world history? Monarchs and ruling families are always just killing each other all the time. That's kind of, yeah. George R. R. Martin sort of based Game of Thrones off of like actual people doing stuff. It's way less fantasy than I think we'd all like it to be. It's just uncles murdering kids and stuff like that. It's just like that's like all of like British history. It's just then I murdered the children and I was king. It's good. It's good stuff. We became servants of the only good option and made main character of the module. Not insert not terrible lady. She has good connections, talks to all of us, etc. Yeah, I mean, at least your DM's not trying to like cram you into servitude for like the necromancer or something. It's like, listen, I'm really evil, but you're not going to find that out until the big reveal at level 12. And then you'll realize the entire time you were doing evil on my behalf. Fooled you. That's because don't do that, DMs. People do not like that. People don't like to be tricked later on. This is an interesting thing. I'll just do a quick timeout here. Your players have to look to you as a DM. This is DM advice. You're providing all the information they are going to have about the world. It all comes through you, DMs. So if you're providing inaccurate, what is it? The unreliable narrator. You don't get to be an unreliable narrator because there's no other source of knowledge for your players to have. So they have to instinctively trust you. What you never want is for your players to second guess and question all of your statements. It makes any role playing game unplayable. So never ever think you're going to be clever by tricking your party and misleading them with the information you're providing them. You are their eyes, you are their ears. They have to trust that they have to trust their own senses, or the world is mad to you. If you can't trust what you see and you know and you feel, you can't operate in the world. You'd be an insane person. Like, you'd be institutionalized, schizophrenic. So never try and like, tricked you guys. Didn't you see that coming? And it's like, no, we didn't see it coming. You are the world. You're the TV screen we're watching. If you don't show it to us, we don't know. And if you're tricking us or being dishonest, then we don't trust anything, and it just breaks the game down. So I'll tie him in, but don't be an unreliable narrator as a DM. Just don't do it. So we end up being given a small barony area. Was that relevant? Was that aside relevant in any way to it? Yeah, I think so. It's sort of not terrible lady. She has good connections. There you go. Yeah. That was appropriate. We end up being given a small barony area to renovate and begin expanding NTL's domain. Not terrible lady. Whew, I got that one too. We have our work cut out for us. Our domain is so in need of repairs that we spent an entire session just repairing stuff. But it's in the module, claims the DM. So we got small bonuses as we went. Is it in the module? I don't know. I don't know what Pathfinder module this is. I know a few of them, but I'm not familiar with this one. Oh, wait, or am I? Oh, I might be. Shit. Okay, I'm not going to overthink it. And to be fair, it felt good. Fixing the road, establishing order, etc. It's not for everyone, but I like kingdom building and knowing progress. I think I do know what module this is. Okay, and we were later given more boons from NTL to add more flavor and options. Oh, is it a spoiler though if I say which one this is? This is the Kingmaker? It's Kingmaker, right? Okay. It's not a spoiler, folks. It's just, yeah. The thing about Kingmaker that's a problem now is that everyone's played the video game Kingmaker from Pathfinder Kingmaker. And so then you try and run Kingmaker, and then it's like everyone's like, oh yeah, I know all those characters. Okay. Which is a great game though, and it's a great module for as far as I've ever gotten through it. And to be fair, it felt good. Fixing roads. Yeah, okay, here we go. DM wife was given an entire group of courtier girls to act as her spies. Very broken, but used as our way to gain important in-game knowledge that we would have no quests or clues without otherwise. My brother's magical whip is also imbued with the living soul of a malicious goddess who wants his soul. Alder? Question. I don't remember getting anything, but I made the most of it. We are pretty tall, so I mean, not the tallest, but you were pretty tall, so that's probably as good as some goddess possessed whip or whatever. I wouldn't sweat it. Made the most of it. I was mostly interested in bonding with my saber-toothed tiger, nicknamed Happy, because of the Smilodon, and getting to know the common folk in the nearby village who were now my wards. And then came ... retirement attempt number 1. Ooh, this is going to be like a list video, folks. Well, that's exciting. Everyone loves lists. I love lists. I shit on people for making list videos, but I must say I watch a lot of list videos. So it's an extremely effective way to get people to watch YouTube videos. Lists. We love them. I don't know why. Several quests and weeks of gameplay later, a clear pattern begins to emerge for me and Alder. Every session seemed to end with me wondering if my character was just dead off screen. Not from combat or anything I had control over, just the DM's decisions. During a battle with chokers in a cistern, I get washed down a waterfall, presumed dead, and the DM prepares to just move on. Ask me During the week interim, so what are your intentions character-wise? I'm confused and have been panicking slash wondering what will become of my nightly orc boy. I want to keep playing him and tell the group so. Okay. Is that a thing to like kill a character off screen? Yeah, you fail your falling over the waterfall save. And end the session. I'm not going to tell you what has like, will you just like resolve it? It's like a fall damage, you land in a pool of water. But you're saying, no, the DM is just like, cliffhanger. You might be dead. I don't know. I don't know how we're going to determine that, possibly. Let me look in the rules and see what happens if you fall over a waterfall. I've never done that before. But yeah, you want to keep Alder going. You want to tell Alder's story, obviously. The party agrees to come looking for me, despite that DM wife made it clear, OOC, out of character, and in-game that there is no in-character reason she would have agreed to do so. Even my brother's character barely knew Alder at this point, and she only said they'd go down because, well, he's my brother, and he's very protective of me. Okay. So where was Alder, you may wonder, after being washed down an underground waterfall, losing gear, etc.? In an abandoned underground city, of course. I mean, it sounds like you're saying that facetiously, but it does track. That is exactly where you'd end up. I mean, that's where else would you be? Will Followed was a non-stealth character. So all you got to do is sneak out. I'm a half-orc knight. I don't have the ability to sneak. What followed was a non-stealth character's attempt to creep around a massive army of what is essentially Falmer from Skyrim. Anxiety was at an all-time high, plus the ever-lingering feeling that I was wasting the other's time on saving my character. Oh, wow. Okay. It sounds like your character really was not meant to have gone over the waterfall into the underworld. That wasn't like you multiple saving throws. You don't describe what happens, but it's just like, all right, you had a deck save to get to fall off the bridge. You then had an athletics check to see if you could swim to shore. You failed all of them, and then fell into a waterfall cave deep into the earth. Your character's gone. Right? And you're like, oh, I want to keep playing my character. And the DM's like, oh shit. But there again, the DM should have just been like, you fall on rocks, you die. And then now you make a new character and you're like, ah, shucks. Or is your character trying to be your DM is equivocating. That's the problem. Is if something happened to your character and they should have died, the DM should have said that your character was dead. But what your DM seems to be doing is trying to be like, are you okay with your character dying? Do you want your character to be dead? And you're like, no, I want to keep playing my character. And the DM's like, oh shit. All right, well, you're going to have to single-handedly stealth your way out around an army there, non-stealthy boy. Giving you options, at least. Eee. That's a tough one. I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm only... Okay, this is what I don't like about this, though. Is that the rest of your party, whatever was going on, should have come to save your character's ass. In all the D&D, in all the roleplay groups I've ever played in, even if the game is relatively new, like off to a new start, there's camaraderie within the party. And I know everyone occasionally plays like their character's a little standoffish, like, I don't trust you that way, or I don't know you that well yet. But the hope and the desire for all the people I've ever played with is that the party will become tight-knit, that will happen, and over the course of the first, several sessions of gameplay, players IRL knit their characters together and form the cohesion in the party. But I've never played a character that would just be like, man down, tough shit for that guy. Like, even if they're like, this is a bad idea, but I'll still go try and save the guy, even though I don't really have a good motivation to. So, I don't know that that's a DM thing you're describing at all. That sounds very much like the other players in your party IRL are playing maybe at a different flavor or temperature of teamwork than what you want, or that what most of us would. I would imagine most of us want a party that's going to look out for our character. Eh, that is not on the DM. Okay. um, Higher in the upper city, I come across. Oh, let's see. So due to the necessity of stealth, I'm forced to leave all of my armor behind and only bring my halberd to avoid being seen. Somehow, I manage to avoid the patrols. Higher in the upper city, I come across a statue of some guy wielding a Nodachi in blue dragon style armor. The sword is in its hand as an actual weapon, and I take it, despite that I have no proficiency in it. Thanks to my archetype, though, I have limited ability to grant myself the exotic weapon proficiency. Sorry, this is Pathfinder. There's all sorts of crazy micro mechanics in Pathfinder, which is, yeah, whatever. Pathfinder's cool, but it's real granular. It's real granular. Yeah. So, wielding a weapon I wasn't familiar with, less of an issue. That's when some pale elf lady comes bursting out of the shadows, being followed by some of the monster slash goblin slash blind evil things. I fight them off to save her, but the alarms are rung. The party comes across the city in total anarchy. Me and the elf being chased at the very top spire and having to jump off the cliff with the leader of the Falmer wearing the same armor from the statue. Ooh, you got the dragon? The dragon armor? Ooh, yeah. I like that. That sounds cool as heck. The other two members of the party has gotten onto a boat of similar underground elves and just barely managed to save me. The Falmer in the blue dragon armor dies, and the fall and the DM dies in the fall, and the DM tries to say the body sinks, but I grab it in time because he let me roll for it. Now, I have a new suit of magical samurai armor, which can cast daylight and fire breath once a day. Important later. And an exotic sword, apparently, which can devour souls. I'm less than excited about that detail since I'm an NG character, but whatever. An, a neutral good character? Oh. I had to lose all my previous gear just to survive this surprise arc, so I take the bad with the good, and I'm just happy to be still playing. I do want to make a quick timeout here though. So you have like the silver or mithril halberd speciality again in Pathfinder, very unique, specific weapon granularity and all that. And your GM has been like, no, new weapon, new armor. It's almost like it's like a reinvention of your character, but really without getting your buy-in. I don't like that so much. I'm not saying that's the worst thing in the world, but it seems like awfully hands-on. And the other thing I will say is this seems like a side quest. Your character falling down into the underworld and the rest of your party having to like take time. And you mentioned like I think you kind of mentioned that it feels kind of bad that the other players have to come and rescue your ass. But I don't know why the DM would have done a massive side quest like this. Don't we say don't separate the party? Like is advice to players is don't split up the party. Don't split up the party. But your DM via mechanics split the party. And so now it's put pressure on the group. It's like a lot of it's about your story. You're making stealth rolls. You're sneaking around. All this stuff is going on. And everyone else is sitting off on the side watching. No, you didn't do that. Your DM did that to the party. That doesn't sound really advisable. It seems like this was a whole unnecessary side distraction for the entire group. And I don't think it's game breaking or horror story worthy that by itself. It's just really not a smooth way to run your campaign. Keep your characters together and don't ever make one of the characters the standout important part of the story. I mean, you can have like little mini parts, like 30 minutes in a session that's focused on one character. It's their moment, it's their battle, it's their enemy, it's part of their backstory. Yeah, yeah, of course. I think that's fine. But if you're like taking a whole session diversion to go break XYZ out of prison or something, it's probably more focused than is advisable. Because not everyone's having an equal amount of enjoyment out of going to get your Alder character out of the underworld here. That is very much on the DM. Switching up Alder's weapon, armor, it seems ill thought out. You have a module that has the story in it already, and you have the time between sessions to come up with your own homebrew add-ons to the whole storyline. This seems like a really big waste of time for a side quest. It doesn't seem like it's a very story-driven or interesting side quest. Is my point. It's a recovery mission. We lost a guy. We got to go get him back. It's like, okay, is that driving the plot forward? Is that it doesn't even really include everyone? It really just kind of focuses on one person, and the consequences of what happens on this mission, this session, doesn't really affect what's going to be going on in the game 4 sessions from now or ever again. I would say it's kind of I don't want to say sloppy. It's just lazy, ill-conceived side quest. I would avoid that as a DM. Keep it tight. Either if you're going to do a side quest off the main story, it needs to be interesting and memorable for everyone. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Where do we get to? You're happy to just still have your character there. Retirement attempt number 2. The elves all seem super grateful to Alder for saving their apparent princess and want to escort the party to the surface, but for Alder to stay behind with them. Not on a separate campaign. I found out later and said my character wasn't supposed to survive at all. A DM writing an adventure where the drama is based around killing off characters. No one's signing up. No player is signing up for the story to be their character gets killed. That's the drama, guys. That dude's gonna die. Pretty exciting for everyone else, huh? And everyone's like, oh my gosh, I wish other characters beside mine would be killed all the time. That is not, again, you've got a module. The story's already there. Killing off people's characters shouldn't be part of the drama. In general, okay. Do you think I was rewarded for this? No. Of course, I decided not to abandon my character to a plot device. Take my gear, and we all go back to the surface. Only now, we are back in the capital somehow, and immediately, think within minutes, accosted by pirates and inquisitors for the Church of the Goddess of Death, who really hates undead and soul stealing. For Rasma, if you all know Pathfinder, I don't know it that well, but sure, some Goddess of Death thing, yeah, okay. All eyes pan to the magical soul-stealing sword reward I was forced to use to survive. Rewrite number 1. Retirement number 1. I'm told by the head cleric I need to come talk to him at my earliest convenience. I agree, but we are also told barely minutes earlier that we now had the super mega important political party we had one day to prepare for, since they had spent so much time just getting me back into the party. I would just say, as a character, if I'm some knight in the world of adventure, and some clerical priestly orders like that sword's extremely dangerous, I'd just be like, oh, yeah, here you go. But I don't even need one of yours. I'll just go buy my own sword and just go get a mundane sword again. Like sometimes just like to step back to avoid that drama of like a cursed soul-eating sword. Yeah, I would just like put it down like a drainage, hole or something in the sidewalk. Just put it in the sewer and just be like, Ain't anybody's going to find it down there. No harm can come whatsoever. I've thoroughly disposed of the cursed item. Problem solved. I'm going to go get a regular sword now. Yeah. Or just go get another mithril halberd is what I would do. But, yeah. I was not given any time at all to feel like I actually had time to talk with the cleric about the soul stealing sword he said was such an issue. Again, I would just give it over. I've just barely been given a supposedly evolving weapon, and now I'm being told that if I don't give it over, the church will immediately, I'll be labeled heretic and killed. Oh, and NTL will lose favor. And NTL shit. I don't know what that is. Oh, not terrible lady. Yeah, I remember. We'll lose favor, and the campaign itself will suffer. Yeah. I was getting annoyed, but I followed the party since we were told time is of the essence and had to prepare suits, masks, etc. for the party. I was told it was important, but that I had time to go to said ball. Oh yeah. It, I don't know what your DM is doing. It sounds like you've expressed many areas where your DM has done a good or reasonable job, and that they are an experienced role player. They, in general, get how the flow of the game. They understand the tropes and all that. So I don't want to wag my finger too bad, but yeah, essentially trying to drop your character in a pit so that they can die for the drama of the story is not good. Switching out your character's gear set completely, again, not good. Introducing a cursed weapon to make more story drama, and then running into this clerical cult who's like, oh man, that's a massive issue. Let's talk about it. It's just, it's bad drama, I guess, right? Because on the face of it, your character has no reason to hold on to the weapon if it is problematic. Like, if you think of a fantasy novel, and over the course of it, the main protagonist finds this cursed weapon, and the two of they get bonded more and more together, and it's all entangled, and they don't have a choice, and the kid cannot save his entire family in town without the power of this weapon, so has no choice but to fall into thrall of the weapon, a la the One Ring in like Lord of the Rings or something. That's like good drama in that novel. But in a role play game, you're just like, oh, all right, well, you take the evil weapon, cleric. Thanks. Disposal fee. Good to go. My hands are clean. I fixed it. So it works in a novel, but not in a role play game very well. If I only say that because your character, from the way you've described the scene in Retirement 1 there, or 2, has no attachment to the weapon. You just don't have a need for it. You can just be like, oh yeah, it sounds like a real bum deal. I don't want that. Like, Warlock Patron. It's like one of them is like, oh, there's an archangel who can give you the power to heal people with a touch, or there's a demonic entity from the void before the universe was formed. It will slowly drive you mad and seeks to penetrate into our universe, dissolving all conscious minds. And you're like, oh. And I have to choose one of those as my Warlock Patron? The DM's like, yeah, which is it going to be? The heroic healing angel or the mind devourer? And you're like, oh man, that's a tough choice. I don't know what to do. It's like, you know what to do. Granted, you want your cool gear, but sounds like this DM has something against your character. At this point, they've targeted you for death, and they've given you a cursed item. That's, is that kind of crappy stuff happening to the other characters, or just your character? Because that's two pretty bad things, and it sounds very much like you're getting targeted at this point. All right. You have time to go to the ball. Awesome. Retirement attempt number 3. At the party, we have to make and find political allies to bring to NTL's side. I'm going to quit parsing out what that acronym means because I can't remember every time. I make 2. A foreign lady who takes a shine to Alder, attempting to seduce him and have him come serve her in her own lands. It's just like, why don't you leave this adventure and come on to some other adventure that won't ever be really expressed out, and you can just make a new character for this adventure. Wow, your DM is really trying to get rid of Alder. That is brutal. I say no thanks. I want to be in this campaign. That's exactly what that's exactly what I would have said. She says that she will instead leave a gift of some magical item or something underneath a landmark bridge at the other end of the campaign map. We never got to go get it. Every single quest, etc., was on the opposite side, and it never made sense to try and go get it. The other ally we make is this general figure who is undefeated in jousting and will be competing that night in a tournament held in the Crown's honor. Alder represents NTL, and I get to do an admittedly amazing jousting tournament where, following the DM's rules, I make it all the way to the final and face the general. Horseshoes stamp the ground, jousting lances are leveled, visors gleam. What follows is perhaps one of the only good memories I have of the campaign. Alder actually defeats the general, scoring one more point in the final round than he did. As a reward, retirement attempt number 4. Ooh, wow. Okay, I'm starting to feel a general sense here that maybe this DM is trying to get rid of your character. I don't know if that occurred to you, but yeah, I hate to break it to you, but they definitely have something against your character at this point. I can say that with authority. Retirement attempt number 4. The general offers to bring Alder along on a monster hunting expedition to the Stolen Lands. Oh, it is King. Yeah, it's Kingmaker setting. As one of his personal guests. The only kicker, you guessed it from the tag above, I would have to retire Alder from the campaign to do it. Again, I say no, and the general pledged to maybe support NTL. Oh, wow. Yeah. At this point, I'm assuming all these attempts at retiring your character have happened over multiple sessions. You're not really giving me a sense for the scale of time. Like, did all this happen over, like, one session ends with your character falling down over a waterfall? Next session, all the rest of this happens over a 4-hour play session. And so you haven't had the ability to be like, hey, time out, DM person, IRL, what's going on? What's wrong with my character? Why can't I play the character I made? The character I want to play? Because that is like a conversation worth having. I've never, like, as far as horror story goes, I don't think I've ever heard of someone trying to get rid of a character this much. Right? Because we've all heard the horror stories where a DM is trying to get rid of a player, where the IRL player and a DM or a player and a player don't like each other, and there's that friction. But the implication here is that Alder, the character, gets retired, but that you can make another character and stay in the campaign as the OP here, as the pirate person. Right? That it's not personal against the player IRL, it's personal against the character in game? I don't think I've ever heard of that. Okay. So after the party, I would come to find out that because I didn't go immediately to go meet with the priest and wasn't even supposed to survive the dungeon where I got the evolving plot device sword anyway, the same inquisitor in the church who tried to arrest me in the streets starts branding me as a heretic anyway. Again, you just give up the sword. It's just problem solved. There's the sword. I don't care. No, I don't really care about the sword at all. Just no skin off my back. I can just put it down a sewage drain if you want me to. We just take care of it that way. Nothing ever comes back out of the sewer once it goes down in there. Yeah. And who comes across his crosshairs while I'm at this mandatory party? I think I'm doing actual good in the campaign. Francis, my cabbie buddy. This inquisitor proceeds to tortures, kills, and soul traps my friend for me not going with him immediately, because 20 gold and a wagon also means that Francis won't give up where to find Alder. He's like, I'll never give him up. This guy's like my blood brother for life. You got me a wagon. This is I have nothing but the wagon. The wagon is the wagon is all I have or will ever have. You can torture me all you want. You take my eyes out so I can't even run my taxi service anymore. As long as I have Aldor's friendship, all that matters. Yeah. Again though, this is your DM making some very rough drama. Like, it's just bad storytelling. It's just like really bad. It's like, all right, what's gonna be really dramatic? Oh, we'll torture some kids. I guess that'll be really intense. And everyone's like, dude, no, man, please. Have you ever read a cool novel or watched a cool fantasy movie in your life? It's trash drama. Your DM's just coming up with really trash drama. I get the impression it's all on the fly and that your DM is not actually pre-planned any of the possibilities. When I say pre-planned to people, it's that between sessions, a good DM should be role-playing out things that could happen. It doesn't mean that it's railroads. It doesn't mean that it has to happen, but a, it's a balance. The trick to being a good DM is balancing out, being flexible so that your party can drive the play and what happens, but that you also, the other half of that coin is that you have set up scenes, dialogue, phrases, threats, dramatic story hooks that you will put into each adventure, each session, every time. There's some cool stuff. It is staged. It is canned, but because you've had the time to play it out in your mind or put it into your notebook of being like, I'm going to plant the seed that the town guard captain has a gambling problem now. And in 3 sessions from now, the party, when they turn in at some point, is going to meet the guard captain and his family. And now I'm setting these breadcrumbs, these trails. Nothing ever has to come of it. Maybe by session 5, the party's completely left the city and they never get to deal with a threat to the guard captain's family because of his gambling addictions or, or debts. But as a good DM, you're setting this, you're planting many seeds, right? It's Stardew Valley. You're trying to grow these amazing crops. They're not all going to work out. And maybe in the end, you just try, hooking up with the barmaid or something. And you don't even get into gardening, and growing crops isn't really the thing that is interesting to your party. But Stardew Valley works because you can kind of do all the things you want to do in Stardew Valley, but it's thought out. And that makes good drama. Trying to come up with drama and hooks and mysteries on the fly is hard. And oftentimes, it's only a fraction as good as the drama and the hooks and the dialogue and the setups that your DM pre-plans. And it's that careful balance. Don't ever hesitate to have a canned line or a canned hook that you've cribbed as a DM. Please do that. Now, that doesn't mean it's all cribbed and it's all canned and it's all pre-prepared, but have one or two or three things every session you play through where it is well thought out, and that will elevate your game from like a C grade to a B or maybe even an A if it's all in there right. Because not everything has to come to fruition, but not everything should be off the cuff either. Because then it gets sloppy, like this stuff. This is just slop. It's like I get the feeling that your DM thought of the sword, thought of the clerics that are against the curse, and thought of them coming back and torturing the cabbie all in the same 4-hour play session. Is, I'm guessing, literally what happened. That they're just kicking it back around again. They don't know where it's going to go. They don't know why it's going. There isn't any, as you're pointing out, there is no logic to your cabbie being involved in this at all. Or that the cabbie wouldn't just fucking turn you in. Or that you wouldn't just turn over your sword. So there's not really anything on the line for anybody. Your DM's making slop drama. That's rough. That's just bad DMing. Yeah. DMing's hard work. It takes a lot of hard work between sessions. That is what the pre-planning is. That's what thinking of the story that could happen is going to be. That's what the DM's imagination is for. Okay. Let's keep going. This is a long one. Yeah. Francis ain't going to give up Baldur, of course. And Aldor's not going to give up that damn cursed sword. Of course. Neither of those things make sense. Important reminder, this Inquisitor is aligned with Pharasma, who hates soul-stealing / trapping. But I'm the heretic? Go figure. Yeah, I don't think your DM thought about it that much. Let's be real honest with you. I'm later accosted in the streets by him the next day after the party, where I publicly labeled a heretic to the entire crowd around and warned that if I don't go with him, the same consequences from before will occur. Cue us now finding out what happened to poor Francis. To redeem my name, we have to go on a subquest, which also ties in with DM's wife's story to another church, steal the item there, and get back. Oh, and said soul-stealing sword has now been taken away. I get to keep the armor at least. Now remember, that little detail before about Francis having a sister? Turns out said sister is the leader of said Thieves Guild, who now has a grudge against Alder for being involved in her brother being soul-trapped. And I do see the problem immediately with it, is you, the player, was going, but Alder didn't do anything. This isn't Alder's fault. Alder is not choosing this. Yeah, it's bad drama. It's soap opera drama. It's just like, I fell in love with your triplet after I killed your twin brother. And you're like, okay, well, too bad that didn't really have anything to do with me or my choices, but keep spinning the yarn there, oh soap opera storyteller. Yeah, it's just slop drama. It's consequences that aren't actually consequences because they're not related to anything you're choosing to do with your character. It's just it's just the DM just spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning away the yarn, and you're just like, slow clap. Man, you are so good at this. These twists and turns. I didn't see them, expect them, or want them in any way, but you keep at it there, DM. You keep at it. This is very dramatic. This sounds rough. It sounds like this is a campaign you'd probably want to be making your way out of about this point. Yeah, it's really sloppy. That's really bad. That's really bad mojo. Think like the worst anime you've ever seen, and it sounds like what you're having to play right now. It's the worst one. The next time we come back to our barony, we immediately have a nightmare abduction of Alder from his bedroom. Assuming the worst, unarmed and angry, Alder fights tooth and nail, knocks out the 2 guards placed with him with unarmed attacks, and emerges from the carriage just as it arrives on the outskirts of our territory. Okay, where I meet Francis's sister, who threatens me, gives us another side quest to steal from a church, and leaves. It was kind of a fun scene looking back if I had known it was just another attempt to humiliate and guilt us into doing a side quest. I probably wouldn't have cared so much or tried to fight back. When we get back from said side quest, I, in character, demand that the Inquisitor free Francis. He refuses, saying that he is above a heretic's demands. I challenge him to single combat. He refuses, and the priest, aka DM, politely tells me that I get no say at all, ever. Not that I shouldn't challenge him, but I am literally not allowed. By now, I'm more than pissed. I feel singled out, targeted, tormented, mocked, and had my hard-won stuff taken from me. And my only PC friend killed as a result of a circumstance I wasn't truly given any choice about. Also, every reward I'm given or earn, taken away, or just an excuse to try and retire Alder. Yeah. I'm super curious, though. This is obviously all from your character and your view, right? Your side of the story. I'm not so concerned about the DM side of the story. What about the other characters? You don't really talk about what anyone else in the party is doing. Is this kind of stuff happening to them? Are they having a good time? Do they find these storylines compelling? I'm actually a little bit shocked at how much of the story you're describing centers around your character. And again, because it's just your retelling of this, Are you neatly editing out everything that's happening to all the other party members, or is nothing else happening to the other party members? And this is just the character show the entire time. It's hard to judge, because my gosh, it would be exhausting and boring if this was what the whole adventure was just shenanigans with your character. Like, oh, oh my gosh, I didn't sign up for this. Holy cows, main character syndrome much? Like, not the DM thrusts upon you. But yeah, curious what everyone else is doing this whole time. Are they having this kind of drama, or are they having zero drama? And it's just your drama. This bad drama. Yeah. Like any good player should, I bring all this up to the DM. His response narrows down to, well, this is my style of DMing. If you don't like it, suck it up. I'm in the right as the storyteller. Hmm. Um, yeah, I mean, you should bring it up. Again, I'm assuming this happens over several sessions, but I can't really tell. The ham-fistedness of again, the drama the DM seems to be generating really seems like he's just coming up with it on the fly. It's not thought out, and you could tell that because it doesn't make sense. Again, it's just like, oh yeah, they go to get the cabbie Francis to get to you, and it's just like, get to me. They walked up to me on the street yesterday. Today, I then said, "Well, I got to go to this party," and they're like, "You can go to the party." And then they just found me on the street the next day. I was completely accessible. It in no way was my character hiding from them. They didn't need to go get to me through Francis, right? Like, I'm being all like dramatic and stating that, but this is exactly true. The clerical order that wants this sword always had access to your character and always knew where your character was. Your character was in no way was denied or inaccessible to them. There was no mystery there. Therefore, they had no reason to go get Francis or get information from Francis. They didn't need Francis at all. They just had you. And the cleric just being like, you need to do this later, maybe. You need to do this later, maybe, or consequences. And it's just like, what? Do you want the sword or you do not want the sword? Is the sword a problem? Just, okay, I don't care. eh, I don't know. The DM doesn't seem like they're very concerned with you having a good time, though. And that really is the problem. This is so long, but that is just the problem. It sounds like you're not having a really good time as a player with all the stuff the DM's throwing at you, and the DM doesn't seem to either notice and or care. It's just like, oh, I'm having a good time. Whether you're having a good time or not isn't really my problem or my concern as the DM. I don't know what to tell you. Well, that answers everything as a player. If they're not trying to, if the DM's not trying to make sure you have a good time or help you have a good time, the DM's job is not to make sure you're having fun. But if the DM doesn't care if you're having fun, then that really answers everything. It is not the group for you. So just like, because that's how you have the conversation out of session between games. It's like, I'm not really having fun, and the DM's like, I don't care. Or, oh, okay. What can I do to make so that you're having more fun? It's a coin flip. It's heads or tails. It's true or false, 1 or 0. Binary. It just, I don't care if you're having fun or not. In which case, you go find another group. Or the DM's like, oh, I will help you facilitate fun. Yeah, that's what we're all doing here. That's what this is about. So, for all the grief this causes you, it sounds like you dodged a massive bullet of not having fun. Yeah. If not having a good time can be a bullet, then you dodged that bullet. Or you're going to when you leave this group. I should have quit right there. I'm tempted to. I want to, but my brother asked me not to. To me to not. that he will speak to the DM and maybe we can do something later on in the campaign to get justice. When my brother does comfort the DM, confront the DM, I say comfort, confront the DM, who is his personal friend, he comes back to me and claims the DM says, oh, Alder is actually the main character. That's why all this stuff is happening, to shape your resolve for the campaign. Me, I never wanted to be the main character. I just wanted to be a player in a game. Besides, isn't not the terrible lady the main character? Bro, well, you apparently are the main character and you should be happy. Think about it all like you're writing a book. Alder has to overcome a corrupt system and now he has a mortal enemy. Oh, gosh. Oh, if it's like writing a book, it's not like writing a book. It's like being forced to read a bad book. Is what is happening to you. It's just like we need that evil sword, and oh, here it is. It's like well, you're just gonna give us the evil sword. And that's just gonna resolve all the conflict. It's like yeah, there wasn't really a dramatic moment at all. It's a soul devouring sword. I didn't really want it. I found it. I found it on a statue. I don't care. It's just you want to destroy the soul in your sword? Just take it. Oh yeah, you don't got to torture and kill anyone. You can just have it. I don't care. I'll just go get another weapon. There's at least 100 weapons in the city. At least I could probably just go into the sewer and find one that someone pushed down a storm drain at some point in the past. Yeah, this is cool. There's no drama. Yeah, bad drama, bad storytelling. Okay. And yeah, you don't want to be the main character. So that answers my question though, as to what everyone else is doing. Everyone else is dealing with your character's um situation. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I wonder why your DM got it in their head that you should be the main character. Huh. That's weird. That's weird. Um if you haven't picked up from just that, my brother's kind of a pushover when it comes to this DM. He's one of the most confrontational, angry, depressed, and self righteous people I've ever met. The DM, not your brother. And yet, when it comes to this DM, my brother's only current long term friend, he kowtows to everything DM says. Either he is worried DM will not be his friend anymore, or he really just is that persuasive to my brother. Neither means I have any respect for DM at all. Yeah. My brother says I'm being too sensitive, but I am livid at the DM and I don't care how I start to come across to him anymore. He's openly said that he's targeting Alder to develop his growth as a character. Yeah, this is I- it's very similar to when a DM forces a class change on a character. It's like, "Whoa, DM, I didn't ask for this. I don't consent to this." And the DM's like, "I don't care what you asked for, what you consented to." It's like I'm not seeking your consent. I'm just gonna f with your character. Oh man, you got a ripcord on this, and and I got to be careful to speak about your brother, but let's just say the other party members, if they're okay with this kind of behavior from a DM, uh, that sounds like a party problem more so than a DM problem. I mean, it is a DM problem, but it's just like it sounds like the whole group is not the kind of group you should hope to be gaming with. Yeah, yeah. If you're telling your brother, it's like I'm not having fun. I don't feel like I'm being treated fairly. I don't really want to do this anymore. And your brother's just like, no, it's cool. The DM's cool, and you're just like, okay, you're not hearing the words that are coming out of my mouth. It's not a knock on your brother, but it does mean that probably you maybe shouldn't role play with your brother or the other people in the party or this DM, because things like consent and compelling storytelling and the reasons most of us ideally would try and role play at all, they're not the reasons these people are role playing. I don't know what these people are doing. Um, and again, in our modern world, not again, in our modern world, I say this a lot. With the VTT world, you have access to hundreds of thousands of other role players, thousands of other campaign settings and DMs. No, this isn't, 1992, and you literally there are 4 people in your entire town who role play any system whatsoever. And these are the people. This is it. You got no other choices. That's not the way it is anymore. I'm assuming the stories happened within the last decade. So, yeah. And you want a game with your brother, I get it. But it sounds like your brother doesn't really game for the same reasons you do. That's a massive incompatibility for gaming. I stupidly agree to keep playing, but my patience is rock bottom. I'm not having fun other than for the sake of combat, which my brother would also go on to claim might have also been a factor as to why the DM was targeting Alder specifically. For reference, Alder is by now a bit of a beast in melee. Won't rise to political maneuvering, won't abandon his core principles for the sake of intrigue, not even forced to do wisdom saves or stuff. He just can't convince me to betray NTL, abandon her for another lord, and has 3 more times tried to write Alder out of the story. Another reason is the DM has to admittedly work very hard to challenge me in combat, since I hit so hard. I'm not even min-maxed or a power gamer. I have 18 strength, power attack, 2-handed a weapon, and I cleave. At level 5 or so, it's not hard in Pathfinder to be a monster. I barely even get to use Happy, my Smilodon, since he has multiple times turned on me when I've been forced to summon him. Because, by the way, for pacing purposes, it still hasn't been a month of in-game time. That is always one of the things in all of our modern games. We really need to, in our game systems, I'm just saying all GMs, all DMs out there, work in downtime scenes where whether it's in a session or it's between sessions where you say a week goes by. Now you may type in the thread what your character might have been up to. Give me a paragraph or a sentence or two about what your character was doing for that week. But the world progresses, time goes by. It's not that every single day, 3 times a day, adventure and action happens. It's actually super unbelievable that and this is something I run into as well as both a player and as a DM, is not taking pauses in our campaigns. So everything is just hour by hour, day by day. And the next thing you know, it's like 13 days later, and the party's gone from level 1 to level 7 in 13 days of game time. That's actually super mechanically and dramatically, storytelling wise, it's super unbelievable. And it's hard to do, but it's not at the same time. It's hard to work in gaps, except it's not. You just say between sessions, yeah, you guys go to sleep at the bar, and 5 days later is where the adventure picks up. And so that you're not taking autonomy away from your players, you give them the option to just give me a sentence or two about what your character might have been doing during those 5 days. It might allow you to bring in a little extra hook, a little flavor. They might be able to work on a skill or have done some off-screen shopping or whatever. That's a perfect way to handle that. But that allows you to stretch your campaign adventure instead of it being compressed over 20 days, over 20 weeks. And the characters really have developed. The world really has changed. Things really have progressed. I'm talking for like campaigns that are like, you're going to play over a year, like real long, IRL long campaigns. You want to stretch it that way. So yeah, it's just a thought I had. Skip to another side quest for the town. We have to clear out an old mill that can work on draining the swamp that surrounds our barony. It's full of ghouls and an actual shadow demon. Ooh, that sounds exciting. I like shadow demons. Bros Magnus does the Arcana knowledge check to find out the shadow demons are next to useless in sunlight, but it's dark and underground. He worries. DM wife is already injured from fighting the ghouls and was paralyzed twice. For some reason, she cannot pass a con save to save her life. A plan forms in Alder's mind. I built him not socially skilled, but actually really smart compared to what you'd think. 14 int for a fighter is a big thing to me, especially because fighters get the worst skill points per level ever. I know it's a long shot, but the shadow demon is going to kill us if I don't think of something. Me, DM, I walk forwards alone as Aldur, the others injured and wavering. I stand defiantly before the shadowy demon and ask, "Before you kill us, I have something to show you. Interested?" DM, sure, roll bluff. I had a very low score, but I somehow managed a 21. The demon believes you and lowers its guard. Right, gives you a moment to show it the interesting thing. Very nice. Me, I touch my armor and cast daylight, the blue dragon armor. Ooh, it's exciting. That's what I would. That's fun. That's fun. That's a tie-in. And that's why the DM can't do it all. The DM doesn't make the magic happen by planting seeds in story hooks. The DM plants the seeds in the story hooks so that the players can interact with them, a la blue dragon armor on a statue in an underground city that sessions later provides the creative, cool ass, movie worthy solution to the Shadow Demon problem via the daylight spell. The DM didn't have that all planned out. You can't plan out all the cool as the DM. It's not your job. You're not going to be good at it. You need your players to match up with the other side. So when the DM is providing all the drama, all the driving forces of the story by hey, some characters you don't control, some NPCs grab another NPC and then torture him off screen, isn't that dramatic? And you're like, no, that's not really dramatic. It doesn't even make sense. Why would they snatch the cabbie? They didn't need to. I've already talked about this. Sorry, I'm being redundant. But a player interacting with some cool plot device or hook that the DM set up sessions ago to bring it out, and even the DM is surprised and going, "Oh my gosh, I forgot about that." Now, a good DM will be like, "Bravo, I am thrilled. I am entertained. The story has come to life in ways I didn't foresee. I feel like I'm reading a cool novel or watching a cool fantasy movie with you guys right now. I'm so excited because I'm also playing roleplay with you guys." Or you have a DM who's like, "Nah, that doesn't work." Nah, sorry, that would have been way too cool and fun and adventurous. I can't allow it in my game. Let's see what kind of DM you have. I haven't read this, but I have a feeling I know which kind of DM you have. A DM who's not interested in playing the game with you. I touch my armor to cast daylight. Whole table gets really excited. DM goes super quiet as he was no doubt flummoxed and forgot my armor could do that once a day. Then he proceeds to ignore the stat block of a shadow demon that effectively makes them useless under the effect of daylight. Whether the spell or actual version, and it keeps fighting with huge negatives, whatever, it's a boss. And before y'all say it, because I have since told myself it, I was being meta knowing what the Shadow Demon stat block states. I make no excuse. I simply want to do something good and clever for once in a campaign where everything I did only seemed to bite me in the half-orc posterior. Right, you're admitting to metagaming? Hold on. Let's just go back. Let's just go back up here. Where's your bro here? Where's your bro? Did you not say that there was an Arcana check? Am I missing that? Am I missing that? Where's the Arcana check? Where's the Arcana check? Bro, and this is, I haven't picked up. Brother, stupidly reference Aldurin's Beast. Another DM admittedly worked very hard. Sorry, I know this is boring as hell. Oh, I really could have sworn. Bro, Magnus does the Arcana check to find out the Shadow Demons are next to useless in sunlight. Sorry. As a player, as a real person, you're going to have all sorts of knowledge about games, legends, mechanics, and so we all are going to have meta knowledge. This is impossible. We don't live in a closet or until the age of 20 and then start playing Dungeons and Dragons. That's not how it happens. But how do you grapple with the knowledge you have as a player, meta knowledge, and make it so that it works properly in the game? Is that you flavor your character's play, your actions, thoughts, deeds with the world around them. So in this case, the Magnus does an Arcana check and then expresses to the party that the Shadow Demon is next to useless in sunlight. They make a skill check. They get the knowledge about what are the weaknesses, what's the AC, how tough, weaknesses, vulnerabilities, stats, special abilities. That is the whole point of making skill checks on things like Arcana, special knowledge checks in Pathfinder in particular, right? Is special knowledge, lore, demonology. That exists literally, so if you roll high enough, or depending on how high you roll, your DM will read you the information out of the stat block. Or what do you want to know about demons? You rolled the 21. What do you want to know about demons? And so when you have meta knowledge, your job as a player is to color or tint the role play in a way that makes it fit into the story. So if your knight, your half-orc knight who doesn't know shit about demons is like, I bet he's vulnerable to sunlight. Let's find out. I touch my armor. That would probably be a little bit game breaking, a little bit meta-knowledge. But you took the time to write an entire paragraph here where the Magnus in your party does an Arcana check, succeeds, and tells the group that the Shadow Demons are weak to sunlight. So that's not meta at all. That's what happened in the game world. Like, in the world of the game, that is literally what happened. It's not meta in the slightest. This is not. I mean, if you didn't write this sentence, then it might be meta, but you did write the sentence, so don't beat yourself up about that. Like, that is how you roleplay properly. A ghost. Oh, ghosts. I don't think I've heard stories about ghosts because in our world, people believe in spirits and the undead and hauntings. And from what I gather, a ghost isn't going to be affected from shooting an arrow through it. Is that meta knowledge? Maybe, maybe not. Do you know the exact way the stat character sheet works as a player? Maybe, maybe not. It doesn't matter. Most ghosts are like, can pass through walls. They're incorporeal. That's part of the lore and the knowledge of all ghost stories, is that you can't touch them. So maybe your sword or your arrow will be ineffective against the ghost. Yeah, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. A shadow demon who lives in the darkness or where light doesn't shine theoretically would be affected by light or dissolved or damaged or weakened by light. Theoretically, a vampire, creatures that feast upon and drink the blood of their enemies, maybe they're allergic to garlic. Maybe it's silver. Is it a stake to the heart? Maybe fire gets them. Maybe you cut off their heads. Those are all things that any character in a world with legends of monsters, whether vampires are real or not in that game world, would have heard those stories of like, oh, I'm going to try and put a wooden stake through the vampire's heart. And the DM's like, there's no way you would know to do that. It's just like, yeah, no, like I could go out on the street right now and ask 9 out of 10 people would know that you kill a vampire. Like, in the real world, 9 out of 10 people would know that you kill a vampire with a stake through the heart. That means in the game world, even though vampires don't exist in our real world, in the game world, 9 out of 10 villagers would have a pretty good idea that you can kill a vampire with a stake through the heart. Again, it's meta knowledge, but you're coloring that role play. You're tinting the role play of the characters by saying, no, that's meta knowledge through fairy tales that are being told within the villages and the towns and the nations of this game world. That the characters have meta knowledge as well about fairy tales. That's why they know you can kill a vampire with a stake through the heart, and that a ghost can pass through a wall because it's an ethereal spirit. Yeah. Okay. Whew, that was a big aside. Yeah, but don't. It's meta knowing. No, your party's Magnus told you. We still end up killing it. Alder lands the final blow with his magical mithril halberd. Ooh, how'd you get that back? When did you get the mithril halberd back? Witch breaks. The Shadow Demon lays a death curse on Alder. So now we have to go do, you guessed it, another side quest to break the curse, which involves taking me to a church of the sea god and drowning me with a chance it would permakill Alder for one failed con save. Gosh dang. Wow. Not entirely retirement attempt, but I'll count it. Yeah. I'm I'm guessing that you are predominantly doing the role playing in your group. As a guess? Yeah. Be this is so long. I'm guessing you're the predominant role player in your group. You're vocalizing more than everyone else, probably more than everyone else combined, if I had to guess. And that might be part of the problem. Like we're all wagging our fingers at your DM. It's a one-sided story. It's your version of the story. Your DM doesn't get to talk back, but your DM is interacting with your character so much because I don't think the other characters are interacting with the DM very much. And you're getting stuck with this. Because if Alder hadn't stepped up with that daylight armor trick, could the party beat the Shadow Demon? Would it have been a TPK right there? What if Alder's just like sitting down with all the other wounded people, just being like, "Yeah, I guess we're screwed, guys." And then the DM's like, "Wait, no, isn't one of you going to jump up and like come up with a solution to defeat the Shadow Demon and keep the story going?" And you're like, "No, I don't want to do it. So I don't want my character to get cursed. I don't want my weapon to break. I don't want to go on another side quest. I don't want to have my character possibly perma die to deal with whatever the repercussions of the role play I'm about to engage in right now is, DM." They're like, "But you're the only one who's playing with me." If you're the only person playing, then the DM has no choice but to play off of you. I'm not trying to. I am making an excuse for the DM, but more that I'm making a supposition that that's exactly what's happening. Is that everyone else is very low key role playing right now? Ooh, yeah. Okay. Okay. It doesn't, but my only remaining magical weapon is now toasted. I'm more than annoyed, feeling that the DM took this great big moment for me to be smart, using an item I wasn't even supposed to have survived getting, almost retconning out of existence, and now I felt like I was being punished again. Yeah, you are. Like every side quest was in some way a way to punish or waste time on my character. It is. It is. It is the story. Your DM doesn't seem to have there isn't a greater plot. Your DM just is looping over and over on mechanics, on game mechanics, story plot devices that are centered around your character. It is bizarre. That's not a module. That doesn't sound like very interesting. It's certainly not interesting. Like after like the fifth time, it's really boring. It's just bad storytelling. Ugh. Calling me the main character more like a punching bag. Whatever. I'm only there for my brother at this point. We add a new player. Let's call him Gips, if only because it's a fun name. The DM, to let you in on something, has this really bad habit of seducing players. Oh, okay, that sounds like an extremely bad habit. I don't mean he comes on to them. No, he does something far worse. He treats them like royalty. Just not you. So that sucks. Just treat me special. Make specialize at me. I'm a special boy. Whatever items they want, whatever skills they try to pull off, they're almost allowed to do anything. So without any rolls, etc., etc., etc. For the life of me, I have no idea what Gips is playing. Some kind of split personality, vigilante, third party class, whatever. 4 people mean more help, more character, and less punching on me, right? Right? Nope. Vigilante is even squishier than the other two. Things kept spiraling. It hit the fan when we had to go fight an infestation of wolves. We were level 7 or 8 by now, and Alder was getting sick of this world. How he was being treated, how everyone else's personal missions were being fulfilled, etc. Meanwhile, none of the arcs I had set up in the beginning of the game had yet to be addressed. Again, I go to the DM and straight up ask him if he just wants me to write Alder out for some reason he isn't brave enough yet to say outright. Legitimate question. And kudos to you for broaching the subject that way. Yes, in game. In hindsight, this truly is better handled out of game, but I wasn't in the right mindset to. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. You should handle it between sessions if possible. Offline. Yeah. Oh. But you know that. So DM, what? I have nothing against Alder. He's great. Me. Then why are you constantly trying to write me out or retire my character? Bro, he's just giving you plot points. You yourself said you weren't sure that Alder was the right fit for the campaign. You did? I told DM that and he's been trying to work with it and you, me. I said that to you in private when I was struggling to find political allies before I actually found some. Oh no. Oh no. Your brother's working behind the scenes with the DM? Oh, to ensnare your character. Oh no. Sorry about that. That's rough. That's rough. Oh yeah, we all say things in private to one another, family, friends, other people we game with that is meant to be like between two people and not related back around to the DM or others because of exact reasons like this. Yeah. It's like no. I told you that. I would have told the DM that if I'd wanted the DM to know that, but I didn't tell the DM that. Bro. Bro. Yeah. Me. I said that to you in private when I was struggling to find political allies. Nothing was resolved. I feel like a whiny baby. No one is listening to me, and I know my entire purpose in the campaigns amounts to hit stuff, do stuff, get kicked into the teeth for it. Yeah. Again, people, I know I should have left so long ago. No D&D is better than bad D&D, especially when said bad D&D is making you start to feel like you're the reason why you never get to just play. With that behind us, we go to clear out the wolf-infested town. Turns out it's a magical fae werewolf problem with giant wolves carrying swords in their teeth. Sound familiar? Shit. Is this some anime thing? I don't know it. Damn it. It's not familiar to me. I think I've seen a meme about it. But no, I don't know what you're saying. I don't know what you're saying. Alder then gets bitten by one of the werewolves. Ooh, werewolves. Ooh. Wait. Oh, I have to mention that the DM has a love of anime logic that that doesn't fit into an actual character design. So we could find a guy wielding 3 two-handed scythe chains in one hand because anime cool. But we were classic classes. Yeah. Anime is cool, folks. Don't get me wrong, but it doesn't lend itself to rules mechanics. That's kind of the fun of animes is that there's always another tier of power. There's always a new ability. There's always some matchup that's never been seen before. But that's not the anime is not designed for game balance. So that's why anime is a really rough fit within a rules mechanics set. Because there's not infinite power scaling, folks. And it's not about balance. I mean, we've all watched Pokemon. Pokemon's not about balance. It's about breaking, finding the cracks and exploiting them and crushing those little Pokemon into jelly paste. Okay. We had to go clear out the werewolves. Wait, dang it, I keep missing our spot. Alder then gets bitten by one of the werewolves. Here is where my brain stupidly went. Oh, this could be good. Alder, the half-orc fighter knight werewolf. The implications of balancing a feral rage alongside knightly honor was actually thrilling for me to imagine. We had to go clear out the werewolves and stop the Fey trickster being from continuing to destroy the civilian town we had barely rescued from 50 wolves. 50 wolves. I counted because the DM kept piling them up on the side rather than deleting the tokens. 50 wolves, 2 werewolves, and the literal huge-sized wolf from Dark Souls. I haven't played it actually. I heard it's a cool game though. But I'm not trying to make myself sound badass. We barely survived the encounter with the wolves, and only because Alder had the cleave tree, aka cleave into an additional enemy, cleaving finish into another. If it goes down, cleave continues the chain, and etc. 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 Round and around the orc steel windmill goes. That's cool as hell. So we go to deal with the Fey Trickster. Bro tricks him into holding on to the one item that can banish him. Ooh, I like that. Yeah. And the DM then states, we find a rack of potions we can cure the werewolf curse with. Oh, convenient. I don't know if that's good storytelling, but it's convenient as heck. Everyone's been bitten at this point at least once, but no one has rolled saves. DM then just openly states, "Y'all drink them." It's I laugh because the DM could have just been, "It's not that kind of lycanthropy. They're not those kind of werewolves. You can get bitten and scratched all you want. None of you are gonna turn into werewolves." But he's just like, I guess I'll just shoehorn in a vending machine with werewolf antidote in it, and yeah, you all drink the werewolf antidote. Problem solved. It's like it wasn't a problem. You could have just told the story not needing that solution, and that would have been like so much more cohesive. Holy shit, bad storytelling. Eesh. I want to fight back. I want to argue and say, no, I don't. I actually think it would be cool to be a werewolf, but I didn't. It wasn't worth being punished, singled out, tormented, and have more stuff taken away from me. I had been beaten down into realizing that no matter how much I loved Aldur, I couldn't play in this game anymore. So finally, I left. I have one more story about DM and DM wife and one more game with them and Bro and Gips. So that'll have to be in another post. I would love to share it. Sorry for the outrageously long post. Don't apologize. That's fine. If people can't see that this isn't a 90-minute long video when they started, that's on them. They signed up for something they couldn't handle. They're not cool enough to hang with us. TLDR, DM Rune's intrigue heavy campaign. OP constantly subjected to nearly being written out of the game. Items, gear, and favorite NPCs constantly taken away. Totally is the main character, but feels more like a punching bag. Was I in the wrong? Was I being too sensitive? Let me know. Wrap up on that. I think it's a combination of things. I think you have a DM who is very much storytelling by the seat of their pants, which only can take you so far as a DM. And they need to probably, hopefully, work on doing a little more prep, doing a little more theater of the mind in their downtime between sessions so that they're telling a more cohesive, well thought out, dramatic points. That'll just make the game better in general. It takes time, it takes practice as a DM. It sounds like you're in a slightly unbalanced play group, or were. All this is were, past tense, for what you're looking for in a group. The reality is it sounds like you were the main role player. Therefore, most of the focus was on you, and you were the main driver of a lot of the drama and action that was happening. So, to balance it, you should be in a group with at least a couple more solid, outgoing role players who want to who want to take the spotlight more, who want to come up with the solutions more. So, I think it was a little bit misbalanced there, as well as I think it's a player maturity level or experience level. The fact that the other players in your group weren't seeing how you were being treated and how the story was overly focused on your character and didn't go, excuse me, guys, DM party, doesn't this seem like kind of weird and unbalanced? I mean, is this really what any of us are doing here? Like, this isn't like when I watch Critical Role, this ain't that. And I don't want to toot Critical Role's horn, but I was really hoping for something a little bit more like Critical Role, and this is extremely far from that. Can we get closer to like even distribution of well thought out plots and balance and driving all the character story plot lines forward, tying in backstories, balance, character interactions with one another so that they're driving some of the drama, yada yada. Yeah. So it's off on you have a DM who needs practice. You have a group that um needs to want the same things you want. And then finally for you in your case, um knowing when to throw in the towel. Between sessions, bring up problems, address them. And always give things more than one chance. Address things 2 times, 3 times if necessary. And at some point, if you're not getting the results you want, if things aren't changing the way you want, then yes, it's very reasonable to reach the end of your rope and to leave a campaign. Ideally, after you have made your request 2 or 3 times and you come to the realization things aren't going to change the way you want them to, but before you reach the end of your rope, you walk away and you say, hey, you know what? I tried. I addressed my concerns, and I know that's easier said than done. It's really easy to give advice on all this. It's really hard oftentimes to do things, but I know in my current groups, we have the ability for people to sit there and say, hey, folks, time out. This doesn't feel right. Or the DM can chime in and say, hey, folks, how's everybody feeling right now? That was pretty intense, right? Not at the end of the session, in the middle of the session, just being like, is everyone good? I was feeling maybe a little concerns, disgruntled. Do we need to take a pause? Do we need to rewind the last scene there? And it's not that exact verbiage, but it's that feeling of being like safe enough to be like, hey, that wasn't okay for me. And people caring enough about each other to ask, hey, was that okay for you? You didn't seem really comfortable. That's not easy, but the only way you get that is by talking to each other and building up the trust and having the maturity as players to be willing to call each other out and to ask one another if they're okay. But if you don't start, for anyone out there who's listening, if you don't start expecting that of yourself, like, hey, I'm gonna speak up when something is rubbing me the wrong way, or if I see someone else is maybe getting rubbed the wrong way, I will speak up on their behalf. It's not easy, but you do it a little bit. You talk about it in friendly ways and trusting ways with these people who are your friends, and then they do it a little bit, and everyone buys in together that you know what, we can just deal with stuff. We can just talk stuff out and make sure we're all operating in a safe, fun way. It's work. It's work because it's not easy and it can be embarrassing. You can be nervous about it. Yeah, it's always hard to confront somebody. It's always hard to be like, hey, I don't think, that was appropriate. Or, hey, that really hurt my feelings. Or, hey, can we retcon that? I did not want my pet or my NPC follower to die. I would really like them back. And everyone's just like, you know what? Screw it. We're just trying to have a nice story together. We absolutely can rewind that scene. If you're gonna feel good about that, and none of the rest of us like really care, and we can just keep telling the story together in a good, healthy way, that's what you want to do. That's what I would hope everyone wants to do. And I get hung up all the time in the comments with people who are like, "Yeah, but consequences. There have to be consequences," and it's just like, um, do there? Do there have to be consequences? And it's like, yeah, but if no one can ever die, if characters can never die, then there's no consequences. And it's just like, whoa, no one said anything about characters not being able to die from a consequence. It, I I say let every player decide if their character dies. But nowhere in that statement is it that they can't die. It's saying if the player is comfortable with their character dying or having the consequence, then they can have it. They can die. They can have the consequence, but it's their choice because why wouldn't it be their choice? It's like, well, I'm not having fun if their character doesn't die. And it's like, you're not? That sounds horrible. I wouldn't want to role play with you. It's like, you can decide if your character dies, and I can decide if my character dies, and there can be character death, provided someone decides that that's okay. Yeah. Um, you got to get buy-in from each other. You got to get consent from each other. It really matters. It really matters because why wouldn't you want it? Why wouldn't you want consent and buy-in? What does any DM or player get from taking away someone else's buy-in and enjoyment? Like what do you get now? So them's the rules. It's like fuck the rules. Fuck the rules. Take care of your friends. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Yeah. IRL in game. Fuck the rules. I don't know what to say. Okay. If anyone watched for all that time, I appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other out there.